Most people think they need 15, maybe 20 properties to replace their salary. That's the general consensus, right? That's what the hive mind from Stranger Things thinks. Build slowly, be patient, and maybe you'll be there by the time you retire if you're lucky. So I'm going to show you how to do it with 2.08 properties. In reality, that's free, isn't it? But, and this is the most important bit, there's a reason most people can't do this in 3 properties. And there's a barrier to entry nobody's talking about. And to be honest, it nearly broke me in my first attempt. A 12-week delay in the build, 12 weeks of carrying costs, and 12 weeks of wondering if I'd made a massive mistake. But first, let me show you the maths behind it. Because when I saw these two numbers side by side for the first time, it completely changed how I think about property investing. My name's Jim, and I work full-time in oil and gas. And I'm building my property portfolio on the side. So if that sounds good to you, make sure you subscribe and let's get into it. Now let me paint you a picture. Imagine 2 investors with the exact same goal, both on $2,500 a month in property income. Enough to cover bills and enough maybe to tell their boss where to stick it. But they take 2 completely different paths. Investor A goes for the traditional route. Buy-to-lets, 1 deal at a time, which is super sensible, safe, but ultimately slow. Investor B goes a different route. He goes for HMOs, which is fewer properties, more cash flow, but way more complex. Now I've done both. I own a buy-to-let that makes me 300 quid a month and a HMO which makes me 1,200 quid a month. And I've got the same amount of money left in each deal, around £40,000. But I get 4 times the income from the HMO. So why doesn't everyone do HMOs? Because this is the bit no one tells you, what it takes to get there. And that's what we need to talk about. Let's start with a simple buy-to-let route. And this is the one most people default to. My buy-to-let makes £300 a month, after the mortgage, after management, and after I've put a bit aside for any maintenance issues. 300 quid in my pocket. So at £2,500 a month at £300 per property, that's 8.3 properties. Let's round it up, I did maths, and call it 9, to give you a buffer as well. 9 buy-to-lets. That's 9 tenants, 9 boilers, 9 sets of potential problems, 9 properties you need to find, buy, refurb, and manage. Now capital. I've got about £40,000 in my buy-to-let after refinancing. So 9 buy-to-lets means somewhere in the region of £360,000 of your money being tied up in bricks. And here's the killer. If you're working full-time, like me, saving hard, maybe you can buy 1 buy-to-let every 18 months or 2 years. 9 properties at 18 months each, that's 12 to 15 years. 15 years, you'll have grey hair by then. I'll probably be bald. And I'm not flagging it, it's not a terrible strategy, it's proven, it's low risk, but it is the tortoise approach. But if someone tells you the shortcut and you can do all of this in 6 months, driving a Lamborghini by Christmas, they're probably lying to you, trying to sell you a course, or they've built a Ponzi scheme, which they want you to be a part of. And I've seen both and avoid those people. Now let's talk about the HMO route. And this is where the maths gets interesting. My HMO makes £1,200 a month profit. So that's £1,200 hit my account every month. To make £2,500, that's 2.08 properties. So we'll round it up to 3 to give ourselves a buffer. Now compare that to 9 buy-to-lets. That's a massive difference. And here's the thing about capital. I've got about £40,000 left in my HMO after refinancing, which is similar to my buy-to-let. So over 3 HMOs, that's £120,000 of your money tied up, versus £360,000 in buy-to-lets. Less capital tied up, fewer properties, faster timeline, and if you've got capital or a JV partner, realistically, you can probably do this in 18 months to 2 years. So why isn't everyone doing HMOs? And it's because of one thing. My HMO all in cost £340,000 to complete. Bridging, development, refurb, investors, the lot. And I got most of that back upon refinancing, but I needed access to £340,000. And that's the barrier not many people talk about. With a buy-to-let, you need to save up £40,000 and then you're in. Save it up, buy it, and you're done. With a HMO, you need access to a lot more money before you see a single penny back. Even though I only ended up with £40,000 left in the deal, it's similar to running a marathon, which is actually something I'm training for at the moment. Buy-to-let is like taking 2 years to build up to a marathon. Slow, steady, and anyone can do it if they're patient. HMO is taking like 8 months, doing a half, and then booking a full marathon. You're going to be running 4 or 5 times a week to get super fit, but you're probably going to get to the finish line. But it's going to be a pretty brutal process. So this can really hit home, let me show you these side by side. Because when I first saw these numbers together, it generally changed how I think about property. Now, buy-to-let, monthly profit's 300 quid. HMO is 1,200. Properties needed is 9 for buy-to-let and 3 for a HMO. Capital tied up is 360, HMO is 120. The capital you actually need access to, around about 40 for a buy-to-let, where it's 340 plus for a HMO. And timeline could be 12 to 15 years or 18 months to 2 years. Now that's the same goal, same amount of your money left in each deal, but it's a completely different path. The buy-to-let investor has £360,000 tied up across 9 properties after 15 years. The HMO investor has 80k tied up over 2 properties after 18 months. But this is the crucial bit. the HMO investor needs access to 8 times more capital to actually get the deal done. And this is why I get annoyed when people shit on HMO commercial valuations or say the numbers don't work. The numbers absolutely do work, but the barrier to entry and the access to capital you need is a lot higher. And people are just jumping on this bandwagon without doing their own math. Now again, this is another important bit because this is the bit that nearly broke me. My first HMO, we'd done the maths, we'd raised the money and we bought the property. And before the build, everything was going swimmingly. And then the refurb started and we had 12 weeks of delays on the build. 12 weeks. Now, it's probably a separate video to go into all the detail, but basically everything that could go wrong did go wrong. It was delays on top of delays. And every week that passed by, money was draining out of the bank accounts. Now, I'm still working full time in oil and gas, so I was dealing with this on my lunch, evenings and weekends. So it was 12 weeks of pure stress and 12 weeks of carrying loads of costs. And to be honest, I was wondering if I'd made a massive mistake because my bridging and development finance payments didn't stop. They didn't care about the delays. Every week that passed, more money was gone. And that was a really difficult moment for me. And I genuinely questioned whether I was cut out for HMOs. But like most things in life, we got through it and the property is now fully tenanted. And there's been no major issues since. And it's making 1,200 quid a month, like clockwork. So was it worth it? Yes. But I'm not going to pretend it was easy. And anyone who tells you investing in HMOs and developing them is passive is absolutely lying to your face, because it's really hard work. And that's the point here. You need to build in a buffer, both mentally and financially, because stuff always goes wrong. And you need to have a plan when it does. And a mentor once told me, and I absolutely love this, never do a deal which can take the clothes off your back. And that stuck with me. I'd rather build slower and stay solvent than overextend and lose absolutely everything. So what about you? Which path makes sense for you? Here's how I'd actually think about it. If you've got £40,000 saved up and you want to get started with minimum complexity, buy-to-let is the way. Learn the ropes, get your first deal done and build from there. If you've got access to larger amounts of capital, either your own money or a JV partner, and you want to replace your income faster, HMOs make way more sense. And this is where it's not about which strategy is better, both are 100% valid. It's about matching the strategy to your situation, your goals, your capital, your risk tolerance, your timeline, and don't let anyone tell you there's a right answer, because there isn't. You need to do your own thinking on this. So to be open and honest, I'll tell you where I'm at. Right now, I've got 1 buy-to-let and 1 HMO, and that's making me £1,500 a month combined. Not 2,500 yet, but I'm on the way, and I still work full time. And it pays the bills, but ultimately I do want to replace my wage. Now, property is the exit strategy, and my focus is on HMOs. The buy-to-let is ticking along nicely, but HMOs move that cash flow needle faster. Longer term, I want 50 HMOs. At £1,200 a month profit, that's a massive £60,000 a month, which is an absolutely ridiculous number, and I'm a long way off that, but I'm going to get there. But that's the direction. And the problem is, I don't have the pots of £340,000 sitting around for every day. And that's exactly why I'm looking for a JV partner. Someone who wants exposure to property returns without doing all the work. I find the deals, I run the refurbs, and I manage absolutely everything. And they provide the capital and we split the profits 50-50. Now, if that sounds interesting to you, there's a link in the description below to our JV partner waitlist. So have a look and fill it in and we can have a chat. Now, £2,500 might not be your number. So let me show you what different income targets would look like with both buy-to-lets and HMOs. So like we spoke about, 2,500 is around 9 buy-to-lets and 3 HMOs. 4,000 is 14 buy-to-lets and 4 HMOs. 5,000 is 17 buy-to-lets and 5 HMOs. 10 grand is 34 buy-to-lets and 9 HMOs. The gap gets bigger the higher up you go. So if you want 10k a month, you need 34 buy-to-lets or 9 HMOs. At the higher numbers, the HMO route isn't just better, it's the only realistic option unless you've got 20 years and you don't mind managing a small village of tenants. So work out your own numbers, run the maths, pick your path, and let me know in the comments. 2 paths to the same destination. Buy-to-let simpler, slower, lower barrier to entry. HMOs faster, more profitable, but you need access to some serious capital. It's the same goal, but with different journeys. So if you want to see how I compare my buy-to-let and HMO side by side, the actual cost, the actual returns, what went wrong, what went right, check out the video on screen now. And if you want me to break down how exactly I built my first HMO with none of my own money using JV partner finance, drop the word JV in the comments and I'll make that video. Make sure you subscribe and I'll see you guys in the next one.